Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Preps. I'm Blair Carri. Pleased to be joined by Jason Shirey, the head coach of the Farmington Softball Cardinals and recent state champions. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you bet. My pleasure. Now, this is what, five state
Just
titles
four,
now? Oh, just
just four
four?
for
Oh,
five for this, five for Farmington.
okay. But for you personally as a coach?
Just four.
Oh, I thought you had three at Fayetteville. So,
Nope,
okay. But
just two.
four, four.
Yeah,
That's not
it's a
bad.
good number.
Well, and the crazy thing, I thought about this the other day, Jason. You've won of the four. Three of them were different classifications.
Yes, we won. What was it back in the olden days?
You know.
The 5A the first time, and then it was 7A,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4A in 2024, and then we bumped up in classification the last 2 years back to 5A. So kind of a roller coaster there.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, I think. But talk about this 26 team. You beat Benton on a walk off. I mean, last at bat, 3-2. Man, I mean, the
It's
drama.
It
How,
was. I don't know that that's a Hollywood script. The way things
yeah.
went. The young lady that got the game winning hit came in as basically a replacement in the lineup in the fifth inning and struck out. But it was a good AB. It was a good. If there's anything as a good strikeout, it was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't feel like she was overmatched, and then in that seventh inning, we were able to get a kid on base and she took a really good 1-1 pitch, and then she just got after the 1-2 pitch. So put it in the perfect spot. There was a little bobble in the outfield, and our kid was running from first base. So everybody was a little excited.
I can't imagine. Now, as a coach, how do you keep, is the challenge in keeping everybody kind of calm in those situations? I mean, how do you handle that? Because the human element can be overwhelming at times.
The one thing that we wanted them to know at the end of the day was that they'd emptied the tank. To have nothing left. And I likened it to when we were leaving Paragould after making the state final. We weren't 30 minutes down the road, and I took a picture of the bus, and there wasn't a head above a seat. Everybody was laid out, exhausted, tired, covered up, and sleeping. And to me, that was just a sign of a day well spent. They were invested, and they had put everything into it. So at that point, one game, 2 hours, I'm fine with them showing all the emotion they can put into it. So that effort and that intensity can't be replaced.
Having been there before, because you all won it in '04 in the 4A,
Yes,
having that experience of being in the championship, how big is that?
it's you can't measure it. And in fairness to the kids, none of
Mhm.
those kids on the 24 team played in the game. They
Okay.
were there. They were more witnesses than anything.
Hmm.
Um, but what's unique about Farmington is a lot of those kids played in championship games this year, whether it be volleyball or basketball.
Sure.
So I just think the idea of being in that environment and knowing how important every pitch is, um, every set, every return of serve, every pass. That's not lost on them. And a lot of those kids played a lot last year. So as freshmen, they kind of got their nose bloody then as well. So I don't think they were as caught up in the moment, maybe as some might have been, but they did a good job handling the situation.
Well, you've had an outstanding career. This was your 400th win that you picked up this season. But knowing you, you haven't done it alone. You've done it with a quality staff as well.
Everywhere I've been, the assistant coaches, the people that I've been around, have been tremendous. I mean, you can't put a value on just the ability to bounce ideas off people, and then to get or to be able to tap into their abilities, their insights. You can't put a number on that. And then just the tremendous number of great players. Um, there were a couple times in the state tournament that I was sweating it because I felt bad that maybe I'd cost us a chance of getting there. But the kids were able to overcome that. But great players, great coaches, all along the way for sure.
Now, how did you get started in softball? Because you were a baseball player growing up.
I played baseball in Louisiana. It's now Louisiana Lafayette. But back in the day, it was called Southwestern Louisiana.
Yeah, the Raging Cajuns.
I finished playing baseball, and my roommate was he'd returned back to USL to be an assistant baseball coach. Now, the assistant softball coach at the time was a guy by the name of Patrick Murphy, who has now been the head coach of Alabama for 27 years or whatever. So I like to tell people I'm the guy that replaced Patrick Murphy at USL. So when the job became available, the lady, Yvette Gerard, she's in the Hall of Fame, she wanted my roommate to think about taking the job. Well, he was a baseball guy and he wasn't going to do it. So I gladly made myself available and volunteered multiple times to see what I could do. So that was really my start, was because my roommate wanted to stick with baseball. So,
and you say Yvette Gerard just happened to be in the Hall of Fame. Legendary,
oh,
coach. I mean, how impactful was that learning under her?
it was one of those things that at the time you probably don't realize. My ignorance of fast pitch softball at the time. I mean, the people that just being around her allowed me to interact with. Mike Candrea. We sat in a hitting facility in Mount Pleasant, Texas, and I'm talking to the guy that all these coaches have to watch his videos. Joyce Compton, some of the coaches that are on TV right now in the World Series, those were the people that I was talking to and hanging around with when I first got into the game. So it's interesting now. Sometimes on the summer ball circuit, I'll see some of them with the youngest playing and stuff. And I don't have any issues going and saying hello simply because I knew you about 25 years ago. So,
yeah,
but that's who I hung out with.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Gerard went on to LSU and had tremendous success there.
Yeah.
So people
World Series, all that stuff.
Yeah.
She'd actually, when they restarted their program, they had called her, and it was almost like the first time that she'd been asked to leave USL to go to LSU. I was with her on staff, and she decided against it. I left USL and came to Arkansas, and I was coached here, and she moved to LSU after I'd left too. So
okay, yeah, you mentioned Arkansas, and there you are with Coach Carey, the hitting coach, and obviously now you see Arkansas in the World Series. How do you feel as someone who coached and was a part of that program in its infancy to see where it is now?
It's a good feeling. I think more than anything, what I've enjoyed is hearing all the former players making it back to Oklahoma City to see it, and the sense of pride that they can now just toss out there in terms of, I started this program and they've made it, kind of deal. So that to me is more, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm enjoying that more for them necessarily, because it's not the same. I was able to be in 2 College World Series when I was in Louisiana. So obviously the stadium's a little bit different now than it was back then.
Yeah.
But one year it was in Columbus, Georgia, because the Olympics were there.
Oh, that's right. I
So
forgot.
I've been able to enjoy that experience. But I think the pride that the former players have in saying that's my school, um, I think that's more of a takeaway for me than necessarily anything that I had to do with it.
Fair enough. And people do forget. And there's the first NCAA tournament. People forget Arkansas had been to the NCAA tournament. I mean, Courtney Deifel's done a phenomenal job, but there is a
Great job.
history
Yes.
in that program of some success before her arrival, and I think sometimes people forget that and forget those players who, I mean, making the NCAA tournament as soon as they did was pretty incredible.
I think so. Obviously, media has changed, television. You think about those early years, I mean, relative obscurity, just in terms of the emphasis on the sport. Some of those pictures you've probably went through, you'll see orange safety fence in the background,
Yeah.
you know, sticking fence posts in the ground, and let's have a tournament. And that's the stuff that those kids in the 90s played on. Some of the dirt fields were, it is nothing like they have now. So you just feel good for them, and knowing that the program has reached that level. And Coach Steifel's done a tremendous job. No doubt about that. When kids are talking about Arkansas on a national level, that's you've opened the right doors. So it's great to be a part of, and to have kids that are interested in going to the U of A, because as the U of A does better, that makes softball in Arkansas better. Um, that's a byproduct that helps us.
Yeah, I was going to ask with the Razorback program being as solid as it is, that's good for the growth of the game in the state as well, right?
It makes it a whole lot easier for me to be able to tell kids, hey, go watch softball. Now, there's good and bad to it. Go watch some of the things that world-class athletes can do. But I also enjoy the moments where I can say, see how good they are, and they still make the same mistakes we make as 14 and 15-year-olds. I get the same teaching points that we need to hear as well. I heard the other day that it was really windy a couple weeks ago, and the college team, the U of A, was out there working on fly ball communication and catching balls in the wind. And that was the exact same thing we were doing at the high school.
Yeah.
So the ability to tell them, hey, we're not doing anything different, um, gives us credibility as well, just in terms of we're gonna coach and teach you the same way that they're getting, and they're in the World Series. But being 5 miles down the road, how much better can it be to go watch an Arkansas Alabama game or Arkansas and Oklahoma, and seeing really high level softball and having kids go, I want to be there someday. That just helps us.
No question about that. Speaking of 14 and 15-year-olds, you've coached your daughters. You coached Reese in 24 and Reed in 26. What's that like to have coached your daughters and not only coach them, but then you coach them to a state championship? I mean, that's pretty
Pretty dang
awesome.
cool is what that is.
Yeah.
Um, I've enjoyed it immensely. It's not without its moments, though. For some reason, people think I'm pretty intense, and I haven't spared either one of them my wrath, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, but when they want to hug you afterwards, there's no better feeling than being able to share that with them. Um, so it's very rewarding as a parent, probably more so than as a coach. They've survived the coaching, but just that moment that nobody's ever going to take away. So um, extremely gratifying.
How do you manage that line between coach and dad? Or has that even been an issue, really?
I'm being honest. I prepared for that by asking Vic Schaefer,
Okay.
um, basketball coach at Texas, but he'd been at Arkansas. I
Hmm.
actually saw him at a summer basketball tournament, And I asked him because he had coached his daughter.
Hmm.
My question to him was, Blair, I think that's her name.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
My
correct.
question to him was, how do you coach your kid? And he told me the very first thing that he did was he asked her, do you want me to coach you as your dad or do you want me to coach you as your coach? How do you want me to coach you? And he said, whichever way you go, I'm fine with. I just want to know how I approach it. And I've asked both of them. I asked Reese, how do you want me to coach you? You want me to coach you as a dad or as coach? And both of them have said, I want you to coach me and coach me the way you're going to coach everybody else. Um, so they made that a little bit easier on me, just in terms of I'm going to get after you just like I would anybody else. Now I'm at the same time, it's probably a little harder to praise them in front of everybody without some people thinking, oh, they're your favorite or whatever.
Hmm.
So maybe they get a little bit more of that praise behind the scenes, um, to avoid maybe the appearance of. But I asked him, just give me some ideas here. And the guy that I replaced, Coach Osnes, Randy Osnes at Farmington, he told me sort of the same thing, but it was with Al Holland and his son Jay Holland.
Hmm.
Um, once we're in the car and we're headed home, game's over with, and we don't talk about it unless they want to talk about it. So that's been great for us in terms of, we're not dragging good games home with us or bad ones either. So just that boundary more than anything has been set by the kids. So
Well, communication, and I mean that's really almost kind of the foremost thing for a coach, right? Is to be a good communicator.
you have to be. And that's one of the things where I think we've kind of lost some too, just in terms of um, my job is also to prepare them for life. Now, there are conversations that I have to have with adults that I don't look forward to, um, but I still have to have those conversations. So if a kid's upset with playing time, or maybe something that got said or something like that, it's an open door policy. I know that I may not like what I hear, but they need to know that they can walk through the doors and talk to us, and trust us in that communication. Because at some point we're going to have another difficult conversation.
Hmm.
Um, so I've tried to foster that, just in terms of the doors open, let's talk. Um, what I don't want is I don't want to hear about an issue 2 months after it happened. Let's clear the air. Let's make sure that we're all on the same page, because what I've also learned is a lot of things are either taken out of context or weren't even meant for people. Um, so instead of letting that fester and become a problem, my goal is for those kids to feel comfortable in letting us know what's going on.
All right, it's the off season now. The season's over. What do you do to relax, or can you? Does is there an off season anymore?
Well, the grass still grows, and that's the side hustle, is mowing yards. So no, as long as Mother Nature's doing what she's doing, I'm out riding around on the tractor. That's kind of a place to maybe decompress, so to speak,
Hmm.
and think about other things. But I've got lists everywhere of I need to do this and I need to do that. So, and like with any sport, we're laughing about it right now, but off
Hmm.
season never really ends anymore. These kids are going and doing. We got kids that'll start with volleyball next week. We had kids that left Hot Springs Saturday night and they were playing travel ball on Sunday and Monday
Hmm.
because it was Memorial Day weekend and their summer teams needed them.
Yeah.
So the off season has really become the first part of the fall when we tell them to just chill out a little bit. You've been going now since January 1. It's now September 15th. You need to be a kid too. So
That gets
that's
lost. Yeah, that gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, doesn't it?
it does. And Farmington, that's another thing that we do a lot with in terms of kids sharing and doing other sports. I mean, we encourage that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you see that success in all the other programs if our kids aren't in other sports. So we do everything we can to find those breaks where we can. We got a bunch of great kids.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations. Have a great summer, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Chief.